fitness enthusiasts and ultimate frisbee aficionados to the TOBU Fitness Podcast, your guide to elevating your game and mastering the art of ultimate frisbee through the lens of strength and conditioning. Whether you're a seasoned player or just stepping onto the field for the first time, this podcast is your one-stop destination for unlocking your true potential. This is the TOBU Fitness Podcast with your host, certified strength and conditioning coach, Justin Shelby.
Before we get started, I want to talk about one of the sponsors of today's episode, the Ultimate IQ Library. This is a new Patreon that I started with my friend Manny Eckert from Seattle Sockeye, and our goal on this is to put out a ton of exclusive content all about ultimate frisbee. So if you're looking to elevate your game and learn a lot more about frisbee, this is going to be one of the best resources out there for you. On my side, you're going to see a lot of training philosophy, a lot of exercises, drills, warm-ups that you can be doing. And Manny's going to be putting out a ton of film analysis, drills. We've got courses coming out. It's going to be pretty much a one-stop shop all about ultimate frisbee education. So if you're interested in learning a lot more about how to get better at ultimate frisbee, make sure you sign up for the Ultimate IQ Library. The link is in my bio, links in Manny's bio. We're going to have the info down in the show notes as well. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the TOBU Fitness Podcast. This is episode number 17. Again, if you're watching on the video, you'll see outside here a very different kind of setup than I usually have. Out here in DC visiting some family, but got to meet up with a very, very special guest that I'm excited to talk to. This is Elliot Bonnet of the DC Breeze. Elliot, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Justin. Really happy to be here. And yeah, excited.
Yeah. Do you want to tell people a little bit about yourself if they haven't already heard of you?
Yeah, of course. So hello, everybody. I'm Elliot Bonnet. I come from France, and I'm here in DC since 2 months now. I'm a French player. I play on French Open team, and I will play World Championship this year with French Open team, and I'm a world champion in mixed division in 2023. So last year with French mixed team in Los Angeles, and yeah, I think it's that.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty safe to say you made a big splash in the ultimate scene. I think at the World Beach Championships, when I think your team took down the American mixed team, which I don't think many people were expecting. And that's kind of when I started to hear about you because all the highlights started to come out about you. And yeah, it's cool to see you now playing with the Breeze. I know you just told me the story before we started recording here, but do you want to talk a little bit about the story of how you got to the DC Breeze?
Yeah, of course. I can tell this story. It's a fun story because it has been like really fast since November to March, and that's it. So after the Open final in Los Angeles, I went to see Ron McDonald just to ask him if we could trade our jerseys, and he didn't have his jersey on him. So we just talked together, and we just exchanged our numbers. And after the tournament, I sent him a message just to ask if when are the tryouts for truck and Breeze. And he said that I don't have to try out for Breeze, but later in the season, if I come, I have to try out for truck. And I was like, wow, this is great, this is crazy. So after I had Lauren Boyle on the phone for the head coach of Breeze, and after the first tryouts for Breeze, Lauren called me and said that I will be on the team. So this is like half February, and then I took my tickets to come in DC, and in March I was in DC. So only like in 4 months since the end of the tournaments until now, my life changed, and now I'm in DC.
Yeah, I imagine that's got to be kind of like it's a little bit nerve-wracking too, right? To have to suddenly make that decision to leave home and then come to a completely different country. You said you had visited Los Angeles before, but now to have to move to a completely different city. What was that experience like?
I knew I wanted to come in the US one time in my life, but I didn't knew it was like that early.
Yeah.
But so it wasn't like a big deal to make the decision because I knew I wanted to. But it's a big decision because it's like it changed my life. Like I have to like go the other side of the Atlantic. And yeah, it was a bit stressful, but the most of the time I didn't even realize, like, since Lauren said I'm on the roster, and until the moment I arrived, I was like, whoa, what's going on? And finally I'm here, and I love DC. I love all the team and everything. So yeah, it was a little bit stressful and took me a lot of energy to like change all my habits of life. But yeah, I like it, and it's a wonderful experience.
Yeah. What's been kind of the best part about maybe US Ultimate in general compared to French Ultimate, or maybe like just the breeze so far? Like, have there been some really big differences that you've noticed?
Uh, the big difference is like you have to do everything a step better. Like, uh, technically, you have to be cleaner. Your decisions has to be better. Like I love the mentality of a breeze, like no turnover and just move the ball easily and quickly. And yeah, the difference is like the level is better in the US. We have to say it, and yeah, even the like one of the best game we can do in Europe is every practice and game we do in the US. So it's a really good experience for me, and I think it will improve my game. So I love it.
Yeah, no, it's super cool. If you were talking to then like 16, 17-year-old Elliot, or maybe some other like, younger French players back home, just based off of like your short experience here so far, is there any specific advice that you would give to them?
Specific advice to like be better at ultimate,
Yeah.
or
Be better at Ultimate, or maybe just yeah, I guess let's go with be better at Ultimate.
to be better at ultimate, I would say just play ultimate. There's no secret. Um, I think the most of my friends in France know that I'm like I work a lot, like in the gym and outside of the fields. So like many friends said to me, "Wow, that's pretty cool. Your all your work is paid now, and you are in the US." And I love when people say me this because I'm training so hard since my first year of national team in France in junior, like under 17, and now it pays. I'm really happy. So yeah, just work hard, play ultimates, go out and throw a toss with your friends, and yeah, geek your sport. Like just watch some films and ask yourself, why is he going this way? Where is he watching? Why is he going this way and not this way? How could it be so simple and everything? So yeah.
Yeah. And I think what's super cool too is like you're saying, like go out and throw with your friends or go and do stuff with your friends. But when you're living in the same house with Rowan McDonald and AJ and Thomas Edmonds and the head coach of the DC Breeze, like to be able to be like, hey, hey friends, let's come, and they're some of the best players in the world. Like that's super cool. Do you I have to ask this question. I think I already know what the answer is, but was the DC Breeze like the dream team? Like if you could have came and played for any team in the US, was it the Breeze?
Yeah, it was the breeze. Uh, it was the few years ago. I wanted to go in Montreal,
Mhm.
because many French players went to Montreal, and finally, like, I love the way Breeze is playing and Truck is playing, and I think I already said this to Lauren Boyle. I think it's the most European way to play. Like it's the American, like the Breeze is the most European way to play Ultimate, and I love it. Uh, and yeah, I think it would be, if I could pick any team, I will pick Truck and Breeze.
Yeah. What do you mean by like the most European way to play?
Like we play a lot of small ball and moving ball quickly. Like in the team I played, so to know a little bit more about me, I started near Paris in Fristois, which is in Luzarches, in the really small town in France. Then I went to Angoulême, a town in the southwest of France, and I played with La Rochelle and Ile de Ré. Ré Island is a small island in France. So I played with them in my last year of junior, and then I came back, uh, and then I went to Bordeaux with 33 Tours, um, which is the last team I played with in France, and also I played with Czech during few tournaments in WOC 2022. So all these teams, to come back to your question, they play small ball, but sometimes they can like throw hugs and everything. But like the way they play, the way they move the ball fast and everything, it's the thing. It's like the common point with the breeze.
Yeah. So is it when you came over to the breeze, like you were saying, the intensity was the big thing that you noticed, like the practices being at the level of like very high level French games. As far as like the tactics and like the technical part goes, was there anything that you really had to change when you came into like the American game or to the DC system? Were there any big things where you're like, wow, like this part of my game is maybe not as good, or like I really have to focus on this now?
I didn't notice this, but uh, like the most of the tactics are like the same. Like I said, it's quite the same way of playing. Even it's like just a level better. But no, I didn't notice this.
I see. Were you studying a lot of like DC Breeze in truck film when you were in France too, or what teams were you really looking at the most?
I watch a lot of truck games. Not a lot of Breeze game. I didn't watch a lot of AUDL UFA game when I was in France. But yeah, I was like watching a lot of games from Bonet, Truck, Chain Lightning, and everything.
Yeah, no, that's super cool. Well, cool. Let's shift gears a little bit. So we talked a lot about kind of your playing career now, but like the training side that you mentioned. I know you said you work out a lot, and since following you on Instagram, I've seen a lot of like the training videos that you've put up. And that was the thing that really stuck out to me is like I know there are a lot of players that go and they lift weights, and you've probably seen it too, where like a lot of players go and they do a lot of the same stuff, right? Like squat, bench, deadlifts, very basic bodybuilding type stuff. But just seeing the training that you do and some of the, like you're doing a lot of plyometrics, you're doing a lot of agility and change of direction stuff, like band resisted plyos, and I was like, I've never seen another player do that type of stuff. Where has your kind of like what has your training been like, your background? Like where did you kind of get a lot of that info?
I studied in sports training, so I have a degree in France on sports training. And that's where I learned everything, and also like in social media, and like you shouldn't trust everything that you see in social media. But my degree that I had in France uh helped me to like filter all the good information and bad information, and I'm following like good preparator, like training preparator in France on social media, and I learned from them, and I learned from my own research also, and with friends just talking like this about training programs and everything. So yeah, that's why I know a little bit of training program.
Yeah, super cool. As you can imagine, I'm more of a nerd on the exercise and the training stuff. What's kind of been like your favorite type of workouts or like training methods? Like is there something that you really like to follow?
For the last years, I was just trying to just pick some exercise in my like degree that I worked on, and just try it on me. and so I didn't had like a real program like written, so I didn't follow a real program, but all of my trainings and everything was in my head, and I know where I'm going. So that's why I think I have like a progression. But yeah, my favorite things for ultimate is like plyometrics, as you said, field workouts. You are training with cleats on your feet during the game. So train with cleats on your feet outside of the game. That way you will be better with cleats. So yeah, just change of direction, sprints, plyometrics, and it's a sentence we hear a lot. I think you hear it on the social media. Train like an athlete and not like a bodybuilder.
Yeah, no, for sure. I've had to explain that to a lot of people, and it's surprising because like when with the with like my social media, like I get so many questions, and you just start to see like the mindset of different players, and like with training how sometimes like I feel like common sense goes out the window, right? So what you described with like we play with cleats, so we should train with cleats. It's like, oh, that's genius, but it's like such a common sense thing, right? And like, yeah, I get a lot of kind of questions where people will only do bodybuilding type exercises. So it's like they're only squatting, only deadlifting, only doing leg extensions and leg curls. And like I think those are good exercises, but like if you only do that stuff and it's like why am I not getting faster? Why am I not jumping higher? It's like, well, do you ever actually jump? Do you ever actually sprint and go out and do that stuff, right?
Of course, you want to be better at jump, jump. You want to be better at sprints, sprints. You want to be better at ultimate, play ultimate.
Yeah,
Like, that's
exactly.
simple.
Yeah, it's like if you wanted to get better at throwing, you wouldn't go and just do like only push-ups and go, why can't I throw more foot? Yeah, the band resisted ones. Um, yeah, what has been uh as far as like field workouts and stuff, like if what's been maybe something that's like really helped elevate your game? Like have there been maybe specific exercises where you're like, yeah, these really kind of help me out?
I trained a lot on like different shapes of cuts, like Z sprints, like T sprints and everything. Just trying to so when I watch games, trying to understand the patterns of cuts and making them just on the field without a disc, just focusing on my footwork. How can it be like uh, very like perfect that way, very efficient. That's the word I wanted. Very efficient, and how can I be faster? So yeah, different shapes of cut. That's the way I improve my cuts. Yeah.
Nice. And are you watching your own film and like looking at your own cuts and trying to improve them, or are you looking at like film of other players and kind of trying to get
Yeah, films of other players. Like I learned a lot of watching players. I know that I learn. My way of learning is watching some players playing. Like, but yeah, sometimes of course I watch myself. How could it be? How could it be better on this game? Why I was not going in this pace and everything? But yeah, watching other players is really important to improve your game.
Real quick, I want to talk about the sponsor of today's episode. They've been the sponsor for a lot of episodes. This is Breakmark Ultimate. They are a jersey apparel company. They were the ones that helped out my team, San Antonio Alamode, the club team I played for this past season, with some jerseys, some awesome designs. So if you're a high school team, college team, club team, or just any sort of team looking for some jerseys, I think Breakmark Ultimate is a great option. They're also the ones helping me out with this TOBU Fitness merch. It's the stuff that you see me wearing in pretty much all my videos now. So if you're interested in getting some jerseys, or if you're interested in helping out your boy and getting some TOBU Fitness merch, make sure you check out the links down in the show notes, or you can check out the link in my bio on Instagram if you're looking for some more information. Let's get back to the show. Yeah, as far for cutting specifically, are there any players that you would recommend people go out and watch?
I love the game of Jack Williams. And yeah, I really like it in the handling space and even in the cutting space because I love the versatile player, like the player that you like when you are defending on them, you are like, okay, I should keep them on the handling space or keep them on the cutting space. I don't know because they are both really good at the two. So yeah, Jack Williams is a player I like to watch, and also um, Grant Linsley. I really like to watch his game. So yeah, that's the two players I like to
Yeah.
watch.
And specifically, like with their cutting footwork and stuff, like what have you noticed that sets them apart compared to others?
Uh, the way that Jack Williams cuts, like he can like relax everyone on the field, like just for a half a second. Like I noticed few times he's just like looking around, just if all the space is available, just putting his hand like this, just let me work,
Mhm.
and then boom, he just attacked the space he want to, and yeah, he's really good at changing the rhythm of the game, like just slowing down and then use the space and everything.
Yeah. Are you a fan of basketball at all?
Yeah, I did basketball for 5 years.
Okay, yes. So do you know like Luka Doncic, right? Like he's not the fastest player on the court, but what I think Luka does really well is he changes the rhythm, right? Like he at sometimes he's going fast, other times he slows down. He's able to use that really well. And like watching Jack, I think Jack does the same thing where it's like you we know that Jack is a very fast and he's very quick cutter, but I think he does a really good job of like when he's stopped, he's stopped, and then as a defender, you're like you kind of relax a little bit, and then he blows by you, right? I think another thing that people can kind of look for with Jack is I think he's one of the few cutters who does a really good job of he also uses like the y-axis. Like Jack uses the vertical very well, right? Whereas like when we're thinking about when we think about horizontal, like I can go 360 degrees right here, right? But Jack also use like yeah, Jack goes up into like that jump cut, and then you don't really know what to do. And is he gonna how long is he gonna wait until he cuts, right? He can jump and then immediately come down to the ground and cut, or he can jump and then you're waiting for like a second and then he cuts, right? So as it I've never guarded him. I probably will never be good enough to guard him, but I imagine that's like what makes him super hard is like you don't know the timing and the rhythm
Yeah.
of his cutting, right?
Also, I like to uh like uh I love the game of of Jack, but I also think that we are in a collective sport, so uh I love doing comparison in my head, and I compare Ultimate as an orchestra. Like we're all a collective sport, so there's not the best player in the Ultimate sphere. Like there's everyone is contributing to the performance of the team. So if you are asking to the guy who has the trumpet to do another instrument, he won't be able to do it. So everyone has his own like role on the team, and like everyone has to do his role to perform. So yeah, maybe Jack is the best one to do something like change the rhythm of the team, but another player will be better to spread the on the length of the team or the width of the team. So yeah, I love doing comparison in my head, and that's one I love to do.
Yeah, I've never heard that one, but I think that's great because yeah, you're right. And it's like I think going along with that, like with an orchestra, like you can't just have a trumpet or you can't just have a violin. Like they all have to work together. And it's the same way with Ultimate. Like I can have the disc, but I can't score unless I have you to throw it to or to you to throw it to me. Something I've thought about a lot too is um, how specific those roles have to be, right? Like, I think DC Breeze and like Truck Stop are a great example of that. Of like, Johnny Mox is like just a very good thrower. He doesn't try to go become the best defender. Like DC has a bunch of really good defenders, right? He just plays his role of being a thrower. And then same with like guys like AJ. Like AJ doesn't try to come to the offense and take over the offense. Like AJ just plays his role of like being a defender really well. And I think like because I know when teams or people talk about like how to try out to make better teams, they talk about playing specific roles, right? Like you don't have to go there and try to do everything really well. It's like find that one specific thing that you do well and like do it really well, and then you'll kind of fit into that orchestra a lot better, right?
Yeah, I like it. I love this way of seeing the game and seeing ultimates. And Lauren Bolo has like a big part of this in Breeze because she's bringing like a common language to everyone and trying to be the best Breeze and trying to pull the best of each player and just you don't have to be the Johnny Mull doesn't have to be the best defender. AJ doesn't have to be the best offensive player. But if they give the best of themselves on their best skills, it will be the best Breeze, and that's an orchestra.
Yeah, for sure. I like that. I like that a lot. Are there any kind of big mistakes that you see a lot of players make, whether it's for specifically for Ultimate or maybe going back to the training thing? Like, are there anything that you notice people need to improve on?
I love listening to my body, and I think everyone should like listen to your body. Like ultimate is a very weird sport where we have a weekend with four games, so it's like really tough. So yeah, listen to your body. And like another comparison I did it with Lauren a few weeks ago. It's we are a jellyfish. Like the jellyfish expand and then contract, and when he like uh, float in the water, that's the time you have to wait, and then he expand and contract another time, and he if he contracts and expand at all time, he will be slower than few times and just swimming, and
Yeah.
you need this rest between each games and everything. So yeah, the best advice I can give, just listen to your body. Like it's your tool. So
Yeah, and I love that. Like, listen to your body. That's something that I like try to tell my clients and stuff a lot. But I also think a lot, like, I've started to notice at least that, like, I think people get confused with what that means too, because I know you could say, like, listen to your body, and it's just like, oh, my body says I don't want to work out today, so I'm not going to work out. And it's like, oh, that's a little different, right? Like, what is when you say like listen to your body, like, what does that specifically mean to you? Or is there any other advice you might give with that?
uh I never been that deep on the in the conversation, but um I think it's just uh listen to your body means listen the like the signals your body gives you when you are training too hard. Because for example, I know when I'm training too hard when I have lower back pain, so I know it's a signal to like slow down a little bit. uh I can train, um uh I can play with a lower back pain, it doesn't bother me, but I know it's still a signal just to slow down, not stop, but just slow down and manage
Yeah.
the training.
I like that. Yeah, I think for like physically, like if you're feeling those like pain signals, I think that's big. I think also like if you know yourself, I think a lot of times like mental signals can be really good. Um, just to use myself as an example, like I'm somebody who like I working out is like my job, right? Like I really like to work out. And I usually don't have trouble like working out. So days where I wake up and I'm like, oh, I really don't want to work out is kind of like a signal to me. It's just like, okay, like this is kind of like maybe something is going like maybe, and then I kind of look back and it's like, oh yeah, like the last couple of days I was really stressed out. Oh yeah, the last couple of days I really didn't sleep well, and it's like, okay, this probably is like a good sign to like actually slow down. And I think that's another big thing is like you can look at those signals in like isolation and you can see like, okay, like yeah, my low back does hurt a little bit. And I think it's also really important to then go back and like look at everything else that happened before that. It's like, why did my back hurt? And it's like, again, like maybe if you had final exams, right? And it's like that was a very stressful time. It's like, okay, yeah, maybe your body needs that little bit of time to rest, but like, or if like you were, you were out drinking with your friends and it's like you didn't get a lot of sleep and your back hurts. So like, okay, those make sense. And I think if you can kind of like find a reason why those signals start to happen, then you can make a little bit like better educated decisions too, I
Yeah,
think.
I think it's a really good thing, and if you want to like follow your like amount of training, it's a good thing. I don't know if you know wellness. Like it's a tracking tool to like it's out of five items I think. if I remember well. It's like your muscle soreness out of 5, your how did you eat, like healthy or not, yesterday, how long did you sleep, and the two other one I don't know, and I don't remember. But every day you like rate every items out of 5, and it gives you like a rate. And if you see that the 5 last day you're like 5 points under your usual rate, that means that maybe you have to slow down a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Because I think back to your point about like social media and like seeing things on social media, it's like social media is just one little piece of the whole cake, right? It's like we only see a 30-second little clip of a person's life. And so like when you if we're looking at like professional athletes in ultimate, or if we're looking at any sport and we see how hard they train, I think a lot of people are always like, "Oh, I have to do that because I want to be like that." And it's like you don't see how well they're sleep like how they're tracking that wellness, right? Like you don't see all the sleep and the nutrition and the recovery that goes into it. So it's like, yeah, if you're just a regular student, or if you're working a regular 9 to 5 job and then you try to do that stuff, it's like that's probably not going to be good, right? Like your body's not going to be fit for that. So like also having a really good understanding of like these professional athletes, they train really hard, but those wellness steps too, like they're going really hard in those like or in those categories too, and like that's why they're able to do what they're able to do, right?
Yeah, of course, that's the most important thing of training. It's that, and it's not the training, but it's out of the training. And I think maybe the everyone sometimes forgot it because it's not on social media. Like we won't just film ourselves sleeping. It's because it's not interesting.
No,
And
I know for a fact that that wouldn't get a lot of views.
like we won't film ourselves sleeping and just rolling ourselves and doing massage and doing eating and everything, because it's not interesting, and the interesting part is training. But the most interesting part is just how you manage your body and rest.
For sure. And I think that's also too what I think people don't realize um when like people want to go full time into a sport. Like I've never talked to like I said, like Rowan or people that are kind of like full-time ultimate players, right? But I imagine it's like it's not really the training time which takes up the most amount of time, right? Like you can work a regular job and you can still train 2 to 3 hours a day. Like that's you can fit that into your schedule. But like you're saying, the rolling, like the nutrition, like making sure that you're cooking and you're eating good food, like you're taking that time to roll out and massage, like that's the part where it's like that then becomes an all day thing. So if you have a regular job, like that stuff becomes harder and harder to fit in. And it's like it's understandable, right? And then on top of that, you're playing ultimate, you're going to practice, you're throwing and all that stuff. So yeah, that's like again, that's the stuff that's like not really it's not appreciated because it's not interesting. Like you're saying, it's not flashy, it's not sexy, but
Mhm.
like yeah, that's the stuff that's super, super important. So
I have another comparison. As you understand, I love comparison. And so after Los Angeles, a few times the commentator was, "Wow, how did you do this and everything?" And I love the comparison of I'm in the lights, but my teammates are the one with the lamp in their hands. So they are the hero, and they are pointing the lamp towards the person they want. So they are creating spaces. They are throwing the really good hug. They are everything, and maybe they don't have the stat, but they are the heroes on the field. And it's come back to the like the orchestra. Everyone has a role on the team, and yeah, maybe it could be like a good thing when you also watch some films. Watch Don't watch only the person who hucks and the person who catches, but also the person who make the cuts and create the space. It's on your Instagram story I
mhm.
saw this morning, in the film room. The person is watch the defender goes under and he's creating space for the huck, and he the hero because he had the like the torch
Yeah,
in his hands and pointing and the person in the light is he did a great job,
mhm.
but the person who did the better job is creating the space.
Yeah, I like that again. I think I was listening to a podcast that had Kyle Henke on the Austin Soul on it, and he was talking about how when you watch film, there's 7 people or there's 14 people in the film, so you could watch the same point 14 times, and you're seeing 14 different games, right? And you can see those kind of smaller moments that you don't see as much on the stat sheet. But I imagine too, like to be in that position, it takes a lot of humility, and it takes like being a really good teammate, right? To be like, okay, I'm not going to be the guy that gets the light shined on them, but I'm going to shine it on somebody else. Do you have like any advice for people kind of like in that situation maybe?
Like to be better at this.
Yeah, just to like yeah, I guess to be a better teammate, like to be okay with like, hey, I'm not going to be the one that scores the goal.
Oh, to be okay, put your ego beside. Put
Exactly,
your
exactly.
ego beside. Yeah, put your ego beside, and again, watch games and watch not the two person who make the pass and catch, but like Kyle Hinkie said, like the 12 other person on the field. They are really important, and yeah, it's a really good thing.
For sure. I like that. I think one thing that I say sometimes too is like I'll have people or like if I'm playing and like maybe somebody cut off one of my cuts and they ended up catching and scoring or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, Justin, like I'm sorry that like I cut you off, or I'm sorry that this didn't happen." It's like at the end, like we scored at the end of the day, right? Like that's the thing that's for. It's not about like me getting the score, or this person getting the score. It's like our team scored, like our team won at the end of the day, and I think that shifting into that mindset is really good
Yeah.
too.
Very good, and you noticed a really good thing. Talking with your teammates is a really good thing. Just after a point that worked and didn't work, like the both, you have to talk about it. Like even if it's like a 5 seconds talk, like whoa, this was really good. You cleared really well. Thank you. That's it. Or little cheer and let's go.
Go Breeze.
Yeah, let's go Breeze. 1, 2 Breeze. But yeah, talk with your teammates on what's good and on what's could be better.
Yeah, I like that. Do you have any other kind of like general advice about just being a better teammate or like building good chemistry? Because I think Breeze is kind of known for like having a really good like team atmosphere and team culture. Like what are things that you've noticed?
Cheering your teammates. If your teammates is doing something good, say it to him. In France, we always say what's not going well, but we don't always say what's doing well. So, cheering your teammates is a really good thing to be a better teammate and to be a better team. Like if your teammates did a great catch, a great cut, a great clearing, a great defense, and I don't know what, just go to him and say it and high five, and it will be a best team. Yeah.
Yeah. I think from like your like exercise degree too, like is with coaching, like that's a super important thing, right? Like you can't like even in a personal training setting, like if I only tell you like, yeah, your squat's really bad, your push-ups are really bad, like like the mood eventually starts to go down, right? So yeah, that's a good point too, just like uplifting the kind of positive energy. Cool. I think we're kind of starting to wrap up here, but what's the goal for you? So I know you talked about DC Breeze and Truck Stop, but what's like the 5 year kind of plan?
The 5 year plan is so I will start for this season. Go to UFA Championship and win the UFA title. Then go with Truck Stop and maybe have a second star with a Truck Stop in nationals. That would be just crazy.
That'd be a crazy way to start off your US career too, right?
That would be crazy. And then in Australia, so in September, so mixed team, women team and open team, we have to be in top 7 of the world to go in World Games, and that's a dream for me. Like doing World Games with the French team, like not even doing World Games is like a dream. So I almost did it in 2022. I was a replacement player for French team, but I didn't went. So for the next few years, it's doing word games, and after I don't really know. So if I if we are in top seven because normally it's top 8 who's going in World Games, but it's in China and China has a spot, so it's and China is not on the in the top 8, so it's only top 7. So being in top 7, going to World Games. If I go to World Games, I don't think I will come back here, because I want to train. I want to be on the team, and if I'm on the team, train with them all season. And after, I don't know. My plan is only going to World Games in China in Chengdu in 2023. 4. No, 5.
Yeah.
5. We're in 2024.
Yeah.
I'm lost. In 2025, sorry. So yeah, my plans are only going to 2025, and after, I don't know. I'm only 21, so
Still got a long way to go.
Yeah.
Long way to go. Yeah. No, that's super awesome. Well, best of luck with all that. Last question I have, and then I'll leave it to you if you want to say anything to finish. But this is a question I like to ask everybody that's on the podcast to finish the podcast. So back to the basketball reference, like I want to know what the best minds in our sport are thinking, right? So like I want to know what keeps LeBron James up at night thinking about basketball, right? So for you, like what are some questions that you have about Ultimate or maybe training for Ultimate that you haven't found the answer to yet, but it's something that you're kind of thinking about a lot?
That's a really good question. A really good question, and I don't have the answer. I think the why I'm keeping my mind in Ultimate is because sometimes my mind isn't in Ultimate. Like having the balance of Ultimate and outside of Ultimate is really important for me. And like sometimes turn it off and think about something else is really important. So yeah, I don't really have the answer of this question, but it's a really interesting question.
Yeah. So, but it sounds like for now it's like kind of about like finding a way to find the balance between Ultimate
Yeah,
and outside. Yeah, I like that. I mean, I'm kind of in that same boat too, where it's like Ultimate. I play Ultimate, but then Ultimate's like kind of my job now too with TOBU Fitness, and it's like, how do you find the balance? Sometimes I just don't know. You know, sometimes it's a little bit too much. But yeah, cool. Well, anything else you'd like to?
why TOBU Fitness?
That's a good question. The real or the fake answer is that I needed a name, and TOBU sounds cool.
Okay.
TOBU means fly in Japanese, like airplane fly. So it sounds cool. But the real answer is I was studying abroad in Tokyo, like in 2019 for like 5 months, and the grocery store that was next to my dorm was called TOBU Store. So when I needed to then create a name, I was like, I remember TOBU, and I was like, TOBU has meaning to me. It doesn't really mean anything to anybody else, but to me, it has meaning. So
I like it.
that's what I went with. Yeah.
I like it. I
Yeah.
like it very much.
Cool. Yeah. Anything you'd kind of like to say to finish off, or if not, where can people find you? Too?
Thank you. Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Elliot Bonnet 11. And I wanted to thank everyone in France for following me and giving me some power and everything. All my friends and family at home. And yeah, really big thank you for everyone.
Of course. Well, cool. Elliot, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Justin.
You've been listening to the TOBU Fitness Podcast. Our passion is to be your guide in elevating your game and mastering the art of ultimate frisbee through the lens of strength and conditioning. No hype, just substance. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, hit us up on Instagram and YouTube at TOBU Fitness. And to get info on one-on-one coaching and training programs, hit the website at tobufitness.com. Thanks so much for listening, and see you next time on the TOBU Fitness Podcast.